big Wahoo Mickelson Trail in the Black Hills of South Dakota.
We started our ride from the visitor center in the middle of Deadwood, but the actual trail starts a couple blocks further down, they'll say behind the bank. So you go up the trail a little bit to behind the bank, and there you'll see the start of the George S. Mickelson Trail. Now, we intended to go 50 miles to Hill City, so you'll hear me talk about the 50 miles, but we actually only made it to Rochford, which was a 25-mile trip, which was plenty for us.
Beginning of the trail in Deadwood, South Dakota. So, a slight uphill grade for the first little bit. I mean, because it's following a former railroad, it's not going to get too steep. And so it depends. I don't have any power on, so I'm way behind my wife. And so with 50 miles, she's going to have to be careful preserving her battery life. But I brought a charger, so at the halfway point when we eat lunch, I'll give it a little charge. A couple miles into it, we've left the city of Deadwood, and this is the trail going into the mountains, following a beautiful stream in the shadows down there. Crushed gravel track. So mile 3 down to 50.
I finally caught up with her, but you can see you're riding up in the top these beautiful mountains. Particularly this part of the trail from Deadwood clear down for another 50 miles in the mountains.
You see that no motor vehicles. Again, no signs were put up before e-bikes really became a rage, and they've already said on the trail that assisted pedaling is okay. So don't be intimidated by no motorbikes. So really, this is one of the coolest rides of a beautifully maintained trail, long through, at this part of it, beautiful alpine mountains. We're in a day in August in the mid-70s. In between rainstorms, we're just very fortunate and greatly enjoying our time. This coming to the crest here to where we're going to be going downhill for 7 miles or so. So you pass by the Homestake Gold Mine, the longest continuing operating gold mine in history, closed in 2001, has 400 miles of underground tunnels, 8,000 feet below the surface. The rock is 130 degrees Fahrenheit down there, so gives you a little bit of an overview. I guess it's those buildings in the distance, but it's pretty much the top of the trail where I'm on the downhill side at miles 7.2. Okay, we've done 7 miles out of Deadwood with a slight uphill, and about the 7th mile we'll start a downhill. But here's the overlook, part of the city of Deadwood. That's Highway 385 going into town. So a beautifully maintained trail of crushed gravel. There goes Speedy Gonzalez. We're at mile 10, a little bit. So every bit along the way, there's restrooms and water and other trailheads for hiking trails, I think. This is the Englewood trailhead. You can always, at any of these trailheads, park and pick up the trail from there. And there's mountain roads here. There's cabins all throughout these mountains, so you're never very far from civilization.
The George S. Mickelson Trail is actually 109 miles long from Deadwood to Edgemont, but you're not going to do that in a day. In fact, our endurance was only 2-3 hours in this case. That usually comes out to about 25 miles. So we didn't go to our original destination. I got a flat tire is actually why we quit, but it was good timing because our bums were a little tired, but we saw some of the best country and some of the best part of the ride for this 25-mile ride through a beautiful ranch country.
The siding of that building is made from cyanide lids they used in the gold mining operations. They came in metal buckets, and the tight lids on them, they started using as shingles on that. So this house has been around for a while.
The northern part of the trail that we're taking here from Deadwood really goes through some of the prettiest country. And it even continues further past where we stopped. But right through this ranch land, they've got these custom fences built and these bridges, overpasses built throughout the trail. It's a one mighty endeavor and just a great ride.
You hear that water flowing? Beautiful little creeks along the trail.
This trail from south from Deadwood to Rochford is about a 7-mile climb coming out, and then pretty much the rest of the way is a slight downhill. So it's a pretty easy ride and very doable. And you notice there's historical markers along the way. I pointed out a couple of them. But just beautiful country and like a few surprises along the way as you see coming up.
Is this cool or what? Hope I don't hit anything. So it's hard to imagine. Of course, this was a rail line, but what they've done to prepare this for this trail is just spectacular. What a lot of infrastructure money's gone into this for great enjoyment. The rail line did half the work, cutting through the rock, but then taking the rail out, putting this dirt road in. We're at mile 24 out of Deadwood. We're hoping we have a stop coming up here soon.
This is Rochford, and you can eat lunch here at the Moonshine Gulch Saloon, or catch some supplies at the Small Mall of America. It's a fun tiny little town, but it's a great way to either start or stop your ride. That's midway between the big cities of Deadwood or Hill City, and you usually can make arrangements. I think mostly in Hill City has the bicycle shop that can give you a ride up or pick you up depending upon which way you want to start your ride.